Here we go. Let's see if we can get episode 5 recorded. We got a good guest coming on. Super excited. I want to take a minute to thank some of the sponsors, but first let's go live on IG and get some of these people in. All right. Let's wait for some people to file in. We'll get this rocking and rolling. So hopefully everybody's doing good. We are up and running on some of the different platforms. Let me just confirm that we're good on everywhere else. What's up, guys? We got a really good guest today. I'm excited. Very excited about today. Today'll be good. So I want to give a special thanks to Kenzies Optics again, as always. Of course, I want to thank the guys over at Riton Optics. They did a fantastic job today getting involved. They want to get involved, so that'll be awesome. We're gonna have a really good guest on today, so hopefully everybody can kind of get ready to chime in. I'm trying to just make sure we're streaming everywhere and we're good. We're good to go. I want to thank everybody for leaving reviews. I'm starting to pick up on them. They're coming through little by little. So hopefully everybody's good. And I am going to just make sure we're up on YouTube, which we should be, just in case anything goes down. A lot of good questions the other day, a lot of awesome stuff. A couple people asked me, how many episodes I'm going to go in a row. I'm going to record as much as I can to get as much as I can out there. So I'm streaming as much as humanly possible to get these all pushed out. So hopefully everybody understands that. I'm going to get Broc Hooten on to talk a little Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm going to just kill the feedback here. So if you are on Instagram and you want to head over to YouTube, head over to YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you can get over to Facebook. I'm working out the kinks on Facebook, so that's kind of ironing out. Facebook goes in and out. I'll get that off. Facebook goes in and out. I had an alarm set for this so I wouldn't forget. I do have prizes tonight. I have stuff. I'm going to add to last night's pot a little bit and try to make it one bigger prize. I think everybody would be okay with that. I'm sure it's not that big of a deal to everybody. What's up, Sleeper Tactical? So I'm going to make that one big prize. My voice is coming back, so I've been slowly battling with everything. You have a bad signal? If you have a bad signal, you can head over to YouTube. We're streaming over there. But I want to make sure everybody heads over to iTunes, and I'm going to type in the rules. Head over to iTunes or Podbean and download and leave a 5-star review, please, and comment done under my last post to win. That should take care of that pin. So for those of you that have been doing that, I really appreciate it. It's super helpful. And I want to thank everybody that does. And thank all the sponsors, Taurus, Kenzies, Riton. We're going to give away some stuff. We're going to give away some hearing protection. We get some hearing protection from Axel. I'm going to toss in. I just thought it would be better to toss it in and make it one big prize. I didn't want to just give something away to give it away, so we're going to do that. Let's see here. Get back to eCam and fix what I got going on there. For some reason, I have to work out the kinks on eCam. I had a little bit of an issue with it at times, but hopefully everybody's good. So thank you, Joe, last night for participating. Let me try and get Broc in here. We're going to try to get this rolling. Let's see. if I can get him into the live. We're going to go live with him. If he's in here, go into... I'm trying out different formats, guys, by doing it this way. So just do me a favor and tap the paper airplane and invite folks in that want to come in. Let's see if I can get him to sneak in. So hopefully everyone's good. Hopefully everyone had a great week so far. I know I've been on a few times, so I've caught up with you guys quite a bit. For those of you that haven't been in, we got a lot of good stuff. We're giving away a lot of stuff we've been doing all week. I'm trying to keep up with it. Shipped out a bunch of stuff yesterday. I'll be shipping more stuff tomorrow. I'm going to be giving away Ear Pro. I got Broc Hooten coming on. I'm going to be giving away a whole slew of stuff. I'm really excited. I got the stuff from yesterday, the breakthrough, everything else I'm going to be mailing. We'll toss in. So I got Broc in here. Let me see if I can get him on. I'm going to toss in all these prizes. And I'm going to see if I can get him in and we can talk a little jiu-jitsu. This will be good. There he is.
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Not much. Just finished up class for the night, so.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. So I got a chance to go down to your gym for a little bit down in Orlando area. You just opened up. So you have an awesome story. You have so much going on. It's crazy. We got to rap for a few minutes with some friends, some mutual friends, and I got to thinking, I was like, this guy would be awesome to kind of have on the show and shoot the shit with. And, as crazy as it sounds, is it okay if I bring up your dad?
Yeah, no worries.
So, he's like the most memed guy probably in the firearms industry ever. And for anyone that's paying attention out there or on YouTube or on Facebook right now, because we're streaming live now, Broc's dad is the guy who, made famous by Black Hawk Down, makes the statement, "This is my safety." So, a pretty fucking cool thing. I think everybody says that, but nobody really puts a face or a family with it. So, we're not going to dwell on that. I think it's like the equivalent of talking about buds with seals, just leave it alone. But it is a funny thing though, to kind of put a face in a family with that statement, because it has to be, I don't know, Broc, it got to be one of the more publicized statements. And here's here's the thing. Is it true?
Yes and no.
Not that it matters,
As far as I know, the story was that yes, there was a situation somewhat similar to that happened, but that's not exactly the way it played out. It
never is
a weapons mechanics issue.
Yeah, it never is.
Under dispute.
So for everybody listening, and I have the mic feeding in. You'll be on YouTube and on Facebook, and you'll be on iTunes and everything. Tell everybody a little bit about your story, kind of stem into how you got into jiu-jitsu, and give everybody a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so obviously my dad was in the military. He had spent 22 years with the Special Operations. Throughout that process, along the way, he was tasked with coming up with a new hand-to-hand program for the Army, in particular, his unit. So he searched kind of far and wide. He ran into a bunch of different guys. Most of it was bullshit. It was like the old kung fu, I'm going to hit you with a chi ball type shit.
Master Ken.
And and so it was not working out well. Fast forward, he ends up running across the Gracie's in Actions tape, and he flew him out to do a seminar, and then they kind of made him a believer after that. He basically brought him out several different times for various contracts. And then along the way, I got a chance to train with them. They had kind of had a friendship they had struck up. So then I would fly out for the summer and stay with, my Uncle Hoyce.
Right.
And I had no idea, what a big deal it was at the time, who this guy was. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to see this guy that my dad's friends with. And, but little did I know, as I grew older, it's like freaking Hoyce Gracie.
It's crazy.
So, yeah. So then I started jiu-jitsu, probably 12 years old. Continued that off and on, as much as I could, because we didn't have a lot of gyms in North Carolina. And then, I joined the Army at 17, right at 18 years old. Did a career there with the Ranger Battalion, and then I got out and I picked jiu-jitsu up again. It was a really good way of transitioning out of the military. Gave me a new purpose. So it was good for me. And then kind of fast forward again. I end up here, and I'm opening my own gym in Orlando.
Badass. So, it's crazy because we all go through, Ruben taught me this, we go through this jiu-jitsu journey, right? So everybody kind of goes through this. So I got into it when Ruben came out to see me when I was running the rifle company, and he said, he goes, you really got to get into this. And he comes out, he does the podcast, everything, and he's hanging out. He goes, you got to do this jiu-jitsu thing. I'm like, what the fuck, And I did some of the Master Ken karate bullshit and everything when I was a kid. So I said, all right, you come out, we'll train. So we went, we trained, and he kicked the shit out of me. And I think somewhere in that, my father went and sought out story. Everybody takes a beating in jiu-jitsu, right? So I took my beating, and I'm like, okay, this isn't right. Ruben should be beating me up. I'm this big, strong guy. Fuck you, And I'm like, I gotta be, I should be kicking his ass. And he totally, kicked the shit out of me. So I'm like, all right, I gotta try this now. I gotta get into it. So fast forward, I get into it, and I'm running with it. I go to the Gracie Academy deal, the GST level 1, which a lot of guys ask me about, which is a great. I compare the GST stuff. People ask me all the time, is it worth it? I tell folks it's great if you've taken a little bit of jiu-jitsu and you want to kind of get that white belt, 1 stripe, 2 stripe, kind of slammed into a week, kind of thrown at you. But it's really best if you have at least 3 to 6 months under your belt already, so you have a little bit of an understanding or grasp on the techniques. So what do you say to guys, and we'll keep it about jiu-jitsu. It's not so much about the military stuff, but what do you say to guys that, they're just getting into jiu-jitsu and they look at stuff like that, like the Gracie Academy stuff or the, the Blue Belt Online stuff? I mean, as an instructor and as a coach, what advice do you give a guy starting out and what gyms he should select and what he should be looking at?
For me, there's a couple different factors that would go into choosing a good gym and getting started in what I would consider the right training path. One is obviously a qualified instructor. Look at his pedigree. Who does he come from? Who did he get his black belt under?
Right.
It's the guy legit. That goes a long way. But not too far behind that is the gym culture. Right. So I've been to some gyms where it's like, all right, it's cool. They have an amazing instructor, but the guys are all kind of dicks, and nobody really wants to train at a place like that. So find a spot where they have a qualified instructor, but you also feel comfortable training, and look for obviously a lot of good training partners too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no doubt you got to find quality partners. I learned that right away, especially considering the woman I'm with is a black belt, so I have to tread pretty softly. But jiu-jitsu, and I wanted you to plug the gym and talk about the gym. Jiu-jitsu is a great outlet, and you touched on that. It's a great therapy for a lot of people that, when you start to roll and you understand rolling and you understand jiu-jitsu, it can really be almost therapeutic in many ways. I call it yoga with choking. all the time to people, you know. I think it has that culture about it.
Yeah, no, for me it was massive, you know, because I got out and you know, you're trying to recreate this culture that you had in the military, and in particular the special operations community, where these guys are just so tight, you know, and you know, it's a very physical job, it's a very competitive job. So, you know, for me, that's kind of what jiu-jitsu, it was a filler for that. It wasn't quite the same, but it was a very good replacement for that after I got out. It gave me a new identity, you know, because a lot of guys don't, you know, I think a big problem with the veteran community right now is guys are getting out and they're kind of just riding on the laurels of what they did in the military, and they're not really moving forward, you know. So jiu-jitsu was good for me for that, because you know, otherwise I might have been sitting here saying, well, I was a ranger, I was this, I was that, but you know, what are you today?
Yeah, that was a common theme, Brock. You know, I had Crispy on, I've had people on in the past. That's a very common theme amongst the guys. You know, I was actually talking briefly to John Burke about some of that. You know, as a guy who wasn't in the military, I graduated the academy. You know, I went that route. You know, I can't relate, but I can understand the camaraderie, the team, that type of stuff. It's really hard to turn the page, you know, and I've noticed even in my gym up here, there's a great veteran community built into the gym, and that's phenomenal. And
Sure.
I think that it does fill in some of those holes, but they're never fully filled in. You know, you guys expend an enormous amount of emotional energy, everything overseas, you know, it's not easy, and that's commendable, and I thank you for it. And just to find an outlet that even can fill in half of that, I think is huge. And I can see that it's been huge for a lot of guys, even in my gym and in other gyms I've been to. It's been a huge, you know, gap filler for the most part. But I mean, I agree with you, whether it's law enforcement, you know, a lot of guys who come out of law enforcement in 20 years, you got to turn the page, right? You got to turn the page, you know?
Yeah, you're not that guy anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. But, you know.
But it doesn't mean you can't find something new.
Yeah, you know, I could, you know, a lot of times, and I know, I don't mean it in this way, a lot of times I tell people, you can't have, like, Al Bundy syndrome. You know, you can't be Polk High 4 touchdowns or whatever it was. You know, you have to, all of us, you have to turn the page. I was on the phone with Ruben earlier, and I was talking about this. You know, he was at the range, and he was doing this, he was doing that. I said, Ruben, I'm 37 years old. My range days are few and far between. I'm not going to be like Kyle Lamb with the knee pads on. I'm not doing it. No offense to Kyle. I love him to death. But, you know, I can't be doing that shit. You know, I'm too old. I'm too beat up. You know, I get out there now, and I'm lucky to get out of bed to take a piss. It's, you know, it's just one of those things. You know, I played sports for years. I played at college. I'm just, my body's beat up. And I've been on ranges, you know, and I've been doing demos and doing this shit for years. Not on your level, but you understand what I mean. It's just, it takes its toll on you, and you're just fucking plain old tired.
Yeah.
You know? So we just kind of had a chance, Ruben and I, to go visit Brock's gym while he was getting it started. Awesome facility down in Tampa. I know I'm in a couple of huge, Orlando. Tampa's on my mind lately. I don't know why. I don't know. But, so I'm in a couple of WhatsApp groups that are jiu-jitsu groups, and I let some of the guys know. Great place to go visit. I got like one or two more questions, and I want you to plug the shit out of your gym and get guys over there, and if they're in the area, stop by. When these guys get around to selecting a gym, I know jiu-jitsu isn't cheap. It's not expensive. I try to explain that. It's not inexpensive. I try to explain that to guys all the time. But here's my big thing. A lot of guys come up to me because I'm just getting started. I'm not, my girl's an expert. I'm not. Ruben's an expert. You are. I tell them this all the time. Don't get caught up in doing too much garage jiu-jitsu. Find a reputable gym and don't be afraid to spend the money. What do you say to that? Because that's advice I give people. I'm like, jiu-jitsu's not cheap, but it's very legitimate.
Yeah, so, you pay, you get what you pay for, essentially. I mean, obviously, there is a ceiling on that where I think it can be a little bit too much. But, essentially, what you're paying for is instruction from a guy who dedicated as much time to his craft as a neurosurgeon.
Right. No, absolutely.
So, he's put 8 to 10 years in the game, and he's got probably a wealth of knowledge to share. And if he's going to share that, it should come at a price
premium.
Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And also, I tell people, if you enjoy training, these lights don't magically stay on and the water stays running. You got to pay for memberships, and it's not Planet Fitness or something like that. That you have basically a personal trainer who's going to give you a real critical life skill, right? Not just some fake muscles.
Right. No, absolutely. No, you're 100% right. Moses, I'm not going to be doing a road trip to Tampa. Fuck you. So, I've been trying to, push this on a lot of guys in the right way when they come up to me and they say, hey, I see you're doing jiu-jitsu. And I say, yeah, I'm playing around with it, having some fun. I got to do the Gracie deal. And they're like, what do you, well, I do it with my, my buddy. He's a purple belt down the street, and that's where that conversation kind of starts. And I'm like, well, listen, that's great, but, you should definitely find a gym. Everybody's always kind of sharing ideas. So I think, you're 100% right. And that's the speech I got when I first saw my bill for SPG. I was like, gee, what the hell is this? You want clean mats. You want, a good facility. You want the bathroom toilet to flush when it flushes. And your facility down there looks top notch. And I can't wait to get back down and get in there and learn a few things from you guys, because you guys are definitely the pros. But,
Yeah, no, we're waiting on you, man.
Yeah, Denny, there we go. It's typically cheaper than CrossFit. That leaves you with no lasting life skill. Yeah, Denny was in GST with me. That's absolutely right. And Denny's a black belt, if I recall. 100% true. You definitely develop a skill. And I did karate as a kid, when I was younger. I think I did like church karate like every other kid. It was like nothing super exciting. But when I got into jiu-jitsu, Denny will tell you, because he's been with me, it was really eye-opening because it works. And that's my second question. It really does. It is such an equalizer. Can you just give people a little insight into that? Because I'm sure you've done all other kinds of combatives, and what sets jiu-jitsu apart in your mind?
For me, it's the ability, with the use of leverage for a smaller opponent to control an opponent much larger than he or she. And I've seen it work at insane levels where, you pick it.
You've seen it work at insane levels. Try coming home to it every night.
No shit. I can imagine that. But for me, it was it's definitely like, I'm sure I had the same experience as you. It was eye-opening. Same thing for my dad when he was kind of running it through its paces. He was, basically had Horian and Hoist out there doing a demo, and about halfway through, he was like, all right, you guys are doing this shit on each other, but, let me go grab one of these operators over here.
Yeah, ninjas.
Physical fucking specimen.
Ninjas.
So, and to then have Hoist do it live, basically, mount some big old fucking beefy operator and slap the shit out of him, right? Leaving him powerless.
I've seen
That's kind of what sold my dad on it, and then later on me.
So, a couple good questions coming by. Does anybody box, kickbox, Thai fighting like they used to, or is it mostly jiu-jitsu now? And then somebody asked another question earlier about jiu-jitsu being mostly grappling. I wouldn't compare grappling to jiu-jitsu, and I don't mean to step on Brock. They're kind of separate things. A lot of really great practitioners of MMA, and I'll get Brock's thoughts, they have a wrestling coach. They may have an MMA coach that kind of weaves in the Muay Thai and the kickboxing and the other things. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you say to that integration? Because I know in the gyms I've been in, it's basically jiu-jitsu as the foundation, and then the people weave in what they call MMA or other things.
So I think it's very common. I personally am kind of doing the same thing here with my gym, with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being the kind of the backbone of the place. But I'm also going to have a multitude of other programs, because I think if you're of the kind of old school mentality where you're not doing any cross training whatsoever, you're gonna fall behind quick. I mean, and that's just the unfortunate reality of it. I'm not saying that jiu-jitsu still isn't the most dominant martial art, but you gotta know what's up with takedowns. You gotta know how to box a little bit, how to kickbox a little bit, know a little bit of everything. I'm totally cool with gyms that have that going on.
Yeah, Zeke, he is down in Florida. He's down in the Orlando area. We'll get to plugging exactly where and how to find him, but you definitely want to get in there and train. And to anybody else that's somebody mentioned Shotokan, there's other things out there. I will tell you from my experience being a newbie getting into it at the age and stage I was at, I had messed around with judo for a hot minute, and to me, at my age and stage of the game, this was less painful on my body, less of a toll on my body. I feel like I could do this till I'm 50 or 60 very, very easily. I mean,
Helio was practicing jiu-jitsu all the way up until his 90s, man.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what also, is, I would say, one of the other benefits of jiu-jitsu is it's one of the only martial arts that you can practice at pretty much 100% without the risk of injury.
Right. Right.
When you're sparring, we're going at it. It's just based on, the nature of the sport. We get to stop right when you tap.
Right. Right. It's good partners. Denny says sport jiu-jitsu is mostly grappling. Traditional self-defense jiu-jitsu incorporates strikes. That's absolutely right.
Yes.
100%. Of course, I would defer to you anyway, Denny, because you are an expert, a ninja. But, one of the things, that a lot of people, the misconceptions is that you have to strike to win a fight. And I think Ruben's had enough viral videos to prove otherwise. And I think we've seen multiple times that you can not only control someone, but also, not violate, if you're in law enforcement, any of your different codes of conduct or what you're up against with the department in terms of what's choking. And Denny knows what I'm talking about. We've talked about this. What's excessive use of force or anything like that. So jiu-jitsu is a great middle ground. When you get into some of these other what I want to call sexy martial arts, or like Shotokan, which is pretty extreme. The stuff like what's the other one? Why am I drawing a blank? The Israeli one. Krav. You get into Krav and some of that stuff, and the striking. It's just so violent in nature that, of course, if you're caught on video or on a cam, it looks shitty.
Yeah, it looks rough. Yeah, that's the cool part about jiu-jitsu is that whether it's modified control positions or even all the way up to some of the submissions, based on the amount of pressure that you're applying during these submissions, they don't necessarily have to be a submission. They can be a modified position of control for somebody that you're trying to detain, right? So, and again, I haven't found another martial art where, it lets you get that hands-on with stuff that is tried and true, proven and effective. If it wasn't, then, why would, even at a base level, every single guy in the UFC knows some jiu-jitsu. He had to learn some level of it,
Rich, my daily carry choice is a Glock 19. Stop it. I know why you're asking that. Semi-Auto Kid asks, thoughts on Krav Maga? I look at Krav, Brock, and Krav's one of the sexier ones everybody likes to pick up on. I look at Krav as just a very violent martial art. I know for me, with cameras and the way things are, like, I'm 245 pounds. I like, you've met me in person. I like the idea of jiu-jitsu being more chokes and holds and apprehension based. Just because everybody expects the big guy to strike, and I love that. What are your thoughts? What do you say to the Krav guys and the Muay Thai guys?
So for me, again, going back to originally what I had said with, having a little bit of everything, I'm not saying that there isn't great shit to be found in every single martial art. I definitely dabble in each one. I go through, I pick little things out that I like, and I put them in my toolbox. However, my personal issue with Krav is I found it to be a little inconsistent. So, again, size, weight, strength, ceiling, all these things considered, some of the things where you're slapping shit out of people's hands and, that requires a lot of coordination, that requires the right setting and circumstances and for you to have a lot of knowledge. Whereas jiu-jitsu, I feel like, is like grabbing onto a motherfucker and it's just about control at that point, getting positive control of the firearm and then using a very simple way of, whether you're goosenecking it or whatever to disarm them.
I feel it's very safe to say, and I'm going to make a bold statement. I think being a newbie, I can. I think for the average person thinking of getting into any self-defense tool, jiu-jitsu should definitely be your base and where you start and your foundation.
And you can branch off. You want to get into Krav after that, that's cool. You want to try that stuff, that's cool. But start off with something a little bit more simple.
Yeah, and my last question to you, because it's crazy because we're chatting like a couple of ladies. 30 minutes went by. What do you say to people just getting started? I always say don't obsess over belts, because I know you guys, because I hear it from my chick. I hear like they come home and she's like, this one's worried about how many stripes and this one's worried about that. What do you say to people starting out? Like I say, don't even think about belts.
Yeah.
Don't even think about stripes or belts. Like when I got into it, a good benchmark for me was like, I was like, if I can be like a 2-stripe white belt, if I can get to like that level where I know enough to be dangerous, I can get out of a mount, or I know how to at least move. I feel like that put me 100 steps ahead of someone who's had zero training. That's how effective it is.
Yeah.
But what do you say to guys just starting out that like, they're like, well, I want to be a black belt in 6 months. Like how do you temper them?
For me, it was about, I never honestly cared about the color of the belt around my waist. I just really, I wanted to be dangerous, and like whatever your measurement of that is, go ahead and go after it and try to achieve it. Ultimately for a lot of people that benchmark is kind of the black belt. So I tell guys, hey, if you're just chasing the belt, you're going to lose interest. It's not going to be enough to keep you. You have to really find a passion for the sport and its effectiveness as a means of self-defense.
That's a great way to put it. I always said, the color's going to come. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. And at this age and stage of the game where I'm at, at this age and stage of the game where I'm at, I've accomplished enough, I think. I'm pretty secure in where I'm at, that like this was just a bonus. This was just icing on the cake. I'm not 19 where it's like this is my big feather in the cap here. But I think obsessing over trophies and belts and things like that aren't the way to go, because I'm going to tell every listener right now,
it's all vanity, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything except maybe somebody else, and who gives a shit.
I'm going to tell everybody right now, if you get into it obsessing over that, you're going to get fucked up real bad over a long period of time.
Oh, yeah. And humbled, humiliated. You'll get that belt that you thought you deserved so bad, and then the belt 2 ranks behind you will submit you anyway.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. So it's been awesome talking to you, and for the listeners that don't know, Broc is super inspirational. I followed him for a little while now, and give his page a look. If you guys haven't checked him out, check him out. He's got an awesome facility. The view, everything just up there is dynamite. I'd love to work. Yeah, I'd love to work in there. Tell everybody where they can find you, if they have questions, where they can reach you, and give your gym a plug. Tell them where it's located. And
so, you can find, for right now, my webpage is supposed to be done here within the next day or so, but for now you can find me on Instagram at Broc Hooten, BJJ. And then It has my number, the address for the gym, everything that you would need, pictures of the inside of the building, all that. So come by and come train soon.
Yeah, and Brock's, is a lot like me. You get to chatting with him, and 40 minutes goes by, and you don't even know what happened. Gun Overlord, yeah, check him out. He's not far from you. And to everybody that just kind of chimed in and just got in, again, we talked about it in the beginning. Brock's dad is the guy who made famous the line, this is my safety. So, I got a kick out of that because that's a meme that's been passed around the gun industry, ad nauseum. And, I'm sure you've seen it fly by your boards, but to anybody who's in the gun industry that's ever used that meme, this is this is the offspring right here. So I hope everything's good, man. I love chatting up about this stuff. Hopefully we answered some guys' questions in here. And Denny, thank you for saying great convo. We keep it simple and just try to give people some information. But go check out Brock's page. Shoot Brock a message. One last question we'll take because this is a good one. Can you work around disabilities? I'm sure you're aware of my injuries. Hey,
my boy Oscar, yeah. Tell him I said, yeah, man. Tell him if he comes and sees me, I got him.
I will tell you this, guys. Crispy, who's burnt up, beat up, missing legs, all kinds of shit. Crispy 11B, he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So if Omar can do it, Omar and I sat and shot the shit about jiu-jitsu for a while. He's a practitioner. So I don't know much, but I don't know any motherfuckers more disabled than him. So.
Yeah, no, the ultimate goal with this place is to work exclusively with vets and to have it be free for them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it kind of the hard way. I didn't want to just set up a nonprofit, right away. I'm going to kind of do it by myself. Mm-hmm. And then as we go along, that'll get done. But, yeah, no, man, it doesn't matter really whatever your disability may be. I can work with you in jiu-jitsu for sure, especially if you're a vet.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a workaround because when Crispy told me that, I was like, oh, really? But yeah, he's a practitioner, and I know plenty of vets with multiple disabilities and guys, whether it's overweight, looking to get into shape, whether it's in conditions, you name it. I know even in my gym, there's a whole slew of guys, diabetic, anything, so there's a workaround for everything. It's not, in the beginning especially, I think, Brock, you'll attest, you're not going to kill yourself in the beginning. These guys are really good, and I know at least in my gym, they're really good about taking their time, and you brought up a good point about tapping and it's over, getting you up to speed. Jiu-jitsu's not something, somebody brought up, like Krav and stuff like that. It's not something where in the beginning they're going to try to run you out of the gym. That's not their goal at all.
No.
None of these guys. So check it out. A lot of these guys do, first 3 lessons for X amount of money or come in and try the gym once or twice. If they find you and they track your gym down, I know Brock's a guy, he's just looking to get you in there, get you trying it out, getting you rolling and seeing where you're at. So get used to shrimping, and shrimping ain't easy. So, take some time. But it was great chatting with you, Brock. I loved having you on. Yeah, and go check out his gym down in Orlando there. If anybody's in the area, go give him a holler and stop in. And
absolutely, first class is free.
Yeah, first class is free. And I'll be making my way down there soon, I'm sure. So hopefully everybody checks out Brock, and I'll be in touch, brother. Thank you for coming on.
All right, brother. Come train.
Appreciate it.
Later.
So that was the one and only Broc Hooten, guys. What a guy. So much insight there, and hopefully everybody took something away from it. We were on for 40 minutes with Brock, and that's the way I like to do it, spend a little time. So Gun Overlord, if you're in the area, Gun Overload, sorry. If you're in the area, that Orlando area, check him out. Give him a follow. He's a great dude. What a solid class act. I can't pick a better person to be on the show and to spend some time. So hopefully everybody took something away from that. I think that there's a lot to be said about getting into something new. Thanks, Denny. I appreciate it. I had a lot of practice on my other podcast. I'm just rebooting this one. but I appreciate that. It's, please head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review, guys. Especially you, Denny. If you don't have iTunes and you use one of those crazy other phones, Androids, head over to Podbean and give a review. So we're going to give away a bunch of this stuff. I'm giving away hearing protection from Sport Ears. I'm going to give away the Breakthrough. I'm going to toss in maybe one of these Universal Enforce lights I got here. I'm going to give away, and I want to get all this stuff out. I love when you can tell when people have a passion for what they do, great stuff. Yeah, Brock definitely has that. I want to get him on because, I think a lot of people have passed around his dad's meme ad nauseum, especially around the gun industry, and hadn't really fully understood, where that was coming from and what that was. I got a chance to hang out with him and spend some time when I went down to the Gracie deal and see his gym kind of being born. So that was awesome. Awesome stuff. I'm going to get more jiu-jitsu guys on to kind of talk and shoot the shit a little bit and give their insights into what it's like just starting out and getting in the game. So hopefully everybody's ready for that. I really enjoy it. And hopefully everybody's enjoyed the podcast. I downloaded Podbean and left a comment on the profile. That's how you leave a review there, right? Yeah. Download it, Semi-Auto Kid, pass it around, get as many downloads on there as I can. I'm going to record as many episodes as I can, and I'm trying this format of using IG as a tool because not a lot of people have Skype and have everything else. So I'm trying this out to get folks on here. And I appreciate everybody chiming in on YouTube. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to leave a comment on there for those guys. Any other questions about jiu-jitsu that maybe I can answer or anything at all? Moses, I'd love to have you on. I'd love to have you on. We can do it tomorrow. If you want, Moses Shaw. We can get a pro shooter on anytime. Yeah. Love to have you on. And we can talk judo. We can talk whatever you want. I just thought, with Broc opening the gym, it'd be great to have him on and have him chat it up a little bit and promote his gym and what he's doing. And I know a lot of guys asked a lot of questions about stopping, and go check him out. I mean, you're crazy not to stop in there. If you're in that Orlando area, go stop and check him out. So hopefully everybody's good. Pointed out I got my Taurus hat on, so thank you to Taurus. Judo don't know if I have a knife. Judo don't know if I have a gun. It's true. I will say this about, being a guy who had that football weightlifter background, it was really great to get into a mixed martial art like jiu-jitsu. And to head over to that Gracie GST level 1 and spend some time training with those guys, I mean, wow. Just wow. Just a wealth of knowledge. Awesome stuff. I can't thank those guys enough down there at the Gracie Academy. Yeah, shout out to Taurus. Thank you to Taurus for everything that they've done. This is episode 5, and we are recording as many of these episodes as I can in the beginning to get you guys as much content. And as long as I'm having guests on, I'd like to get you guys a good breadth of material so you can understand what this podcast is going to be all about and what we're going to be doing here. And talking about. And I think that some of the new sponsors, I got a call from Riton. I had a great call from Riton Optics. They wanted to jump on board as kind of piggybacking on Kenzies and promote their brand. So thank you to Riton and everybody over there. Phenomenal group of folks, and can't thank them enough. We will talk glass at some point. That's something that's come up. John's going to be the next Joe Rogan. I need your help to be that. I need you guys to head over to iTunes and head over to YouTube. Right now I'm pushing that. So the more you guys can leave reviews, I check them every morning. The more you can download from Podbean, the website will be up. I'm hoping, like Brock, by the end of tonight. Tomorrow I have Ryan working on it diligently to try to crack that code and get everything up on the website that we need done. So it takes a little time, takes a little effort to get it right, and I'm trying to round out the sponsorship and who's going to be involved in that and what that's going to look like. So I appreciate it, Semi-Auto Kid. It means a lot to hear you say that. This is a great medium. I love this medium. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. Tap the paper airplane, tap hearts, invite people in. We'll talk Pats for a minute. We still have some time. We'll talk Pats for a minute. I know everybody's asking Rams or Pats. Definitely Patriots. I've been watching on ESPN and everywhere else. Patriots seem like the go-to. They seem like the sexy pick. You know, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day who is very anti-Patriots, and they more or less were, how do I put this? They weren't negative on them, but I had to impart some wisdom on them. I had to explain to them that what you're watching, you're going to tell your kids about, and you'll tell your grandkids about, that you got to see this. 5 Super Bowls in 5 years? He's been to 9 in 18 years. It's really amazing. Truly amazing. You know, you can learn a lot from you know, what Tom Brady and what Bill Belichick are doing, whether it's in business and life. All of it. All of it. It's amazing. Just the ability to win and get to that game year in and year out and year in and year out. So, you know, I think that's really something to be remembered and to be, I don't know what you compare it to, maybe the nine championship run that Bill Russell went on with the Celtics, or even some of the Yankee squads. I know the Yankees had 2 dynasties in there over a 20-year period, which was similar to this. So, you know, it's just lights out what they're doing. So, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. So hopefully everybody understands, you know, what they're watching when they watch the Super Bowl. They're really watching a piece of history. So, you know, pay close attention to it. It's really something else. I want to get people's thoughts on optics. I talked about this a little bit briefly at SHOT Show, and this will lead into the next episode where we'll kind of talk a little bit more about some of the changes we've seen in the optics market and in the optics game. But I want everybody to take a minute and invite as many people as they can into the live and follow the rules below. I want to give this stuff away. Denny, especially with no Hall of Famers on the team. You know, he's had some Hall of Famers, Denny. That's a good question. I get that a lot. He's had some Hall of Famers. So if you go back to those 2001 to 2004 runs, so I separate the Patriots as kind of 2 runs, Denny. You know, you have the 2001 run to 2004, and then you have the 07 to 2000, the 07 to 2009 run. And you also have the 2000, 13 or 14? 14 to 2000, we'll call it 19. So, if you look at that 2001 to 2004 run and you start to list it out, you have Richard Seymour. You have Tom Brady, obviously. You also have, what's the offensive lineman? You have Matt Light. And you have, there was a guard. I'm drawing a blank on the guard's name, Denny. I'm drawing a blank. If I look it up. I'm drawing a blank if anybody remembers. And then you also have Corey Dillon as running back. So you have 4 or 5 Hall of Famers tossed in there. In that 07-09 run, don't forget in 08 Brady was injured. You still have Brady in there. You have, Darrelle Revis was in there. You have Randy Moss. And you can even count Gronk in there. And then the 14 to 19, you have Gronk, which is now, you have Brady. No, he was great. And then you have Rodney Harrison. You have Rodney Harrison in there too, don't forget. You had Rodney. So what I'm getting at is these are, and Adam Vinatieri. So let me just see. And Benjamin Watson. Benjamin Watson will be a Hall of Famer. I forgot about Benjamin Watson. My fault. I'm forgetting the guy. The old line. Gronk's 100% a Hall of Famer, Danny. 100%. Shot show AIDS. I'm fighting it. And I would even go so far as to say on this 2014 to 2019, this one will be controversial. Dante Hightower. Hightower will be a Hall of Famer. Oh, Ty Law. I forgot Ty Law. Sorry. So you have a pretty diverse group. I'm forgetting one guy. It's gonna come to me. I'm gonna get it right now. But Gronk is 100% a Hall of Famer. Anyone who thinks otherwise is crazy. He dominated for 10 years. Guys get in the Hall of Fame for less. So he absolutely dominated the game. So Colin Kaepernick, no. No. Absolutely not. Let's see. I'm missing a guy. Logan Mankins. That's what I'm thinking of. Logan Mankins. So, to me, Brady's had Vinatieri, Ben Watson, Ty Law, 4. If you count Brady, 5. Matt Light, 6. Gronk, 7. Darrelle Revis, even though they rented him, 8. Moss, 9. Dante Hightower, and, Gronk. He's had about 10 or 11 Hall of Famers. So, he's had about 10 or 11. So, he's had some Hall of Famers. I won't take that away from him. He's had some Hall of Famers. So, that's kind of my thing. He's not had a lot of them for a run like this, for a dynastic run like this. But he's had about 10. I think the Hightower one's a little bit of a stretch, but I think when you have guys like this that have that many years in, Julian Edelman could end up being a Hall of Famer because he might pass Jerry Rice as having more postseason receptions than any person alive. That in and of itself is impressive. They're kind of approaching that territory of how can you not let them in? So he's just got some guys in this run the last 5 years that have really surpassed a lot of people's expectations. So I think Edelman and Hightower would be the more controversial ones. Would they be Hall of Famers? Should they be Hall of Famers? It's tough with Edelman because he's a possession type receiver. And he's really a third down type guy, They used to call guys like that garbage men because they catch all the garbage throws. But they're important. But they're really good at catching those tough balls in traffic and just making those plays. So, yeah, Randy Moss is a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Anytime it becomes like the Jerry Rice, it becomes like the Jim Rice rule. So Jim Rice got in the Hall of Fame for the Red Sox, and it was kind of controversial, right? It was like, well, how can they let him in? He barely had the numbers. But he dominated for like a 10-year stretch. So it starts to become like the Jim Rice, Sandy Koufax rule, where if you dominate for such a period of time, how can you not let them in? You know, guys who on the Patriots who might be like Hall of Famers in Patriots fans' minds, you know, where guys start talking crazy is like Teddy Bruschi and Troy Brown. Like, those guys aren't Hall of Famers. They didn't dominate. They just made big plays when it counted. And they were like Patriot, Patriot level Hall of Famers. Like, in people's mind. I know in my circle, I know Benny's in here and a couple guys from the neighborhood. Those were the guys that you were kind of like, whoa, you know, like, wow, this guy's awesome. Like, he's like a fan favorite. Oh, I'm forgetting Vince Wilfork. Vince Wilfork is a Hall of Famer. Vince Wilfork will get in. So Vince will get in. So that's kind of what I see out there as bona fide Hall of Famers. Matt Light may be a tweener. Bledsoe wasn't horrible. Semi-auto kid. Bledsoe wasn't horrible. Vince, I won't argue that one. No. I mean, Denny, would you argue with any of the names I threw? I would say Hightower and Edelman will be a stretch. But just the amount of playoff games they have is in, like, Edelman is right behind Jerry Rice in numbers. You know what I mean? In all-time playoff numbers. He's behind Jerry Rice. I will say this, Denny. He's only had one Hall of Fame running back. Corey Dillon, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer. Hands down. That's my opinion. But he's only had one Hall of Fame running back. Corey Dillon, you know, was huge for them. Clock killing Corey Dillon. He was huge. But think about the greatest teams. I will say this. Even the greatest teams have to have at least 2 or 3 Hall of Famers. And don't forget that Belichick is a Hall of Famer. A bona fide Hall of Famer too. So it helps to have a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame quarterback. And if you go back and you look at even some of the Dan Marino teams, I know they never won the big one, but he had a Hall of Fame coach quarterback combination there. So, you know, yeah, I mean, those Steelers teams, Denny, and those 49ers teams, they were loaded. They were loaded. But those 49ers teams had to be loaded. Think about the 80s. You had the Redskins. You had the Cowboys coming up. You had the Giants. You had the Bears. They were loaded. Go Bruins, Tessie. Is hockey still a thing? Not a hockey fan. Not a big hockey fan. Hockey's boring to me. Unless you go and you see it live, it's very boring. It's un-American, too. It's Canadian. Leave it in Canada or in Europe. You can stay there. But for the most part, I feel that the Patriots are not just the more dominant team or not just the more dominant group of athletes, but they also have a great foundation in their whole organization. It is a testament to how great they are. And I'm a Dolphins fan. They have to stand for the anthem, Tessie. I can't argue the anthem thing. I'm not here to argue the anthem thing. I think the anthem thing was an abomination. I think the anthem thing was more a slap in the face to Goodell than it was anything. I think the temperament in the NFL was right for that. You know, and I think the NFL just wanted to give a big finger to Roger Goodell, too, at the time. So the climate for all that bullshit was perfect. It's going to kick me off. I'm going to come back on. I'm going to give these prizes away. Hockey players are not more American. I've spent a lot of time with hockey players. They're completely un-American. How many Americans are on the Bruins? How many? It's under 5 American-born players. It's probably 5 or under, and the starters are probably less. But Bledsoe wasn't here. We'll get back to the Bledsoe thing. Most of them are Canadian or European. We'll get back to the Bledsoe thing. It's going to kick me off. I'm going to sign back on because we're coming up on an hour. I'm going to give these prizes away, but I'm going to touch on the Bledsoe thing. and close the door on that. True, but Canadians are cool. Alright, let me just put the rules here. Alright. So on the Bledsoe thing, and I'm going to get my ass chewed by Tessie. On the Bledsoe thing, real quick. Drew Bledsoe was a phenomenal quarterback. And you got to remember, he played in a tough AFC. He came in while we're at the end of that Buffalo reign, and the AFC East was kind of thrown in a muck, and there wasn't quite 3 divisions yet. Everything was a little bit kind of a toss-up. Bledsoe could throw a fucking insane football. And he was hands down a first-round draft pick. Hands down. Yeah, this shirt is pretty slick. My friend Ruben got this to me. This is a No Judges Needed exclusive. So Bledsoe was an insane quarterback, and he's in his own right was phenomenal. Yeah, the red things are off the lamp, Blake. They were bows from Christmas. So I'm not prepared to close the door on Bledsoe. As far as hockey goes, I played it when I was a kid. If you're from Boston, you play hockey at some point in your life, whether it's street hockey or it's whatever hockey it is. So whatever sports you play them as a kid. There's nothing wrong with hockey. Unless you're at a hockey game, to me, hockey leaves much to be desired. So to me, hockey leaves a lot to be desired. It's unless you're there, it's just not as exciting on television. So Mo Lewis in front of Gillette Stadium. Yeah, Dima, there's a lot of truth to that. There's no Leah took the bows down. Thank you, Leah. There should be a statue of Mo Lewis. I think the Mo Lewis hit is the most under-talked about thing in Boston history. But, and I know you know this, Dima, if you read the book, Patriot Reign, they talk a lot about, in the book Patriot Reign, they talk a lot about Brady almost being ahead of Bledsoe coming out of training camp. They had just signed Bledsoe to such a big deal. And there was even rumblings about a sign and trade at some point. I think that was just a star-crossed moment that allowed everything to happen. And it stems into another conversation. Brady was not Tom Brady until really 2006, 2007. Go look at his numbers. If you look at Tom Brady's numbers year over year, if you take a look at Pro Football Reference, which I'm going to, because I want to feed you guys some data and it's going to stem into social media and everything else, because it has a place. So Tom Brady in 2001, which was the Super Bowl year, had a... Here we go. He had a completion percentage of 60. Hang on. He had a completion percentage of 63.9. He threw for 2,800 yards. He had 18 touchdowns, and he threw 12 interceptions. He was picked in the 7th round. He had very pedestrian numbers in 2001. In 2003 and 4, the Super Bowl years where they were dominating, the team was just loaded. Defensively, they were crushing it. He was a 60% completion quarterback with 3,600 yards, 23 TDs, and 12 interceptions. Still very pedestrian. That's 2003. 2004, Tom Brady was 60% completion, 28 touchdowns, and he had 14 interceptions. not that great of numbers. Not that great. He was not that exciting. People wonder why he didn't win MVPs multiple years. What's up, DeAndre? That's one of them. Now, I don't want this to turn into sports talk radio, but if you jump to 2007, that's when he started lighting the world on fire. Now, you can make the case all day long it's because he got moss, because of other things. 2007, he lights the world on fire. He has a 68.9 completion rating, 4,800 yards, 50 touchdowns, and throws 8 interceptions. His first year in single-digit interceptions. He crushes it. QBR comes into play at that point. He has an 88.5 QBR. He is lightning. MVP. No doubt. Hall of Fame year. Hands down. Hands down. From there, he never really looks back. Of course, he gets injured in 2008, but he does 4,000 yards, 4,000 yards, 5,000 yards, 4,800 yards, 4,300 yards, 4,100 yards, 4,700 yards, and his completion percentage stays at about 65 plus. So what I'm going to say is sometimes it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Building anything takes time. Getting good at shooting takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. We live in an era, and I talked about this in the last podcast, where everything has to be right now. It has to happen right now. I want it yesterday. He has success, so I want to take it away. I can promise you that from 2001 to 2006, that 5-year span, I'm going to read some numbers to you. 12, 14, 12, 14, 14, 12. That's the number of interceptions that Brady threw. That's not that great. That's almost an interception a game, guys. So we live in an era now where everything has to be instant gratification. We want to put a post up. It has to get so many likes. We want to do this. It has to do that. We want to. So, yeah, semi-auto. Walk past the microwave once in a while and use the oven. Try baking. Let things take time to develop. And I say the same thing to people all the time that, Bruce brings this up a lot at Quest Bar, looking for sponsorship. People who look for sponsorship and people who look for companies to partner with and people who look for people to work with. And I try to tell people this all the time. You have to work hard. It's not easy. So some questions, whoever works harder, absolutely. Try grilling. Try grilling. Absolutely. People don't want to work for anything anymore. That's right. I think people struggle. with hard work. I think people struggle with putting the time in. I wanted to build this podcast. This was a passion project of mine. I was doing it with another company. I was growing it. And thank you for tapping the hearts and thank you for leaving the reviews. It was a passion play for me, and it was a project I had worked on. And I knew it would take time. I understood it would take time. Things don't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. I want to pick a winner on the contest, but I only have 8 comments under my last post. I need you guys to head over there and take care of that and enter the contest by leaving reviews and sharing this. But I want people to understand that anything worth doing is going to take some time. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback that's ever walked the planet. And it took him 6 years to not throw double-digit interceptions. 6 years. That's not a blink of an eye. That's a few years. That's a minute. If you want to be good at jiu-jitsu, like Broc Hooten just kind of brought up, you have to work at it. It's going to take 5, 10 years to really develop a skill set. You're not even going to know what you're doing for 6 months. It takes time. I think part of it is breaking of loyalty and trust between employees versus employers. I will say this, Mark, that things are changing. I think people have an entrepreneurial spirit. I think that that's kind of coming to fruition, if that's what you're getting at. There's another question. Are the most dangerous daily jobs in the world? 10. It's hard. Yeah. Union Electric, there's no question. Anything worth doing isn't going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. It's well said. So to all you guys out there, to anybody, you bring up the money thing, and it's not a money thing, but let's make it a money thing for a second. If you're going to make 6 figures at anything you do, you're going to work hard. You're going to work hard. Yes, that's why I think vets are drawn into business. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not one, so I don't know the answer. Six figures. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what you're getting at, Union Electric, but yeah, I mean, it's not easy. None of it's going to be easy. So to be successful at anything, it's going to take time. To earn a belt, it's going to take time. I think that everybody needs to really stop with the whole, I need that instant gratification. I think that really needs to go away. And I think people need to realize that you have to put in a certain amount of work. Oh yeah, it's hard for me. Yeah, if that's what you're getting at, that's absolutely. It's hard. When your goal takes longer to achieve, it feels so much better when you accomplish it. Hard work pays off. It does. It does. There's no doubt. It does. Absolutely. 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 So, setting goals, you should always have your short-term, your mid-term, and your long-term goals. Setting goals is never going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. And if you think it's going to be easy, you're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. I think everybody needs to take a minute and realize that nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens quickly. Nothing worth doing is going to happen with any degree of speed. So get that out of your head right now. Get that out of your head. Messing with the settings on my camera. But I think too many people obsess over it. Too many people obsess. So to everybody the last 4 days that's been tuning into the lives, we had Broc Hooten on today, talking a little jiu-jitsu, hanging out, spending some time. It was great having him on. Huge insight into jiu-jitsu. I know we got on the topic of the Super Bowl because everybody wants to talk football right now. And that's cool too. You can talk about whatever you want. I appreciate everybody tapping hearts, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to leave reviews. The reviews, every morning I'm reading those review guys. What's up, Rob? We had Broc Hooten on, talking jiu-jitsu. Broc Hooten is the son of, a certain special forces guy that made a famous statement that's been memed all over the 2A industry, which was, this is my safety, so that was like kind of his claim to fame, Black Hawk Down. So, Broc runs a jiu-jitsu gym down in Orlando, great soldier in his own right. Awesome dude. Loved having him on. Then we started talking a little Patriots. And we're going to talk optics for a split second and prep for the next show. The way social media is, you think things changing anytime soon. I like people not wanting things right now, things just slowing down a bit. I don't think you're ever going to stop social media, Semi-Auto Kid. Social media is a huge juggernaut. It's a juggernaut. It took me 8 years to move from New Hampshire to Mass so I can buy better guns. That's right, Benny. Social media is not going to stop. It's not going to stop. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people in social media looking for the quick fix. There's always going to be that stuff. It's not going to change. And if you live in Mass, you kind of have to move to New Hampshire. So there's always going to be the quick fix. That's not going anywhere. It's not going to stop. As far as my thoughts on, social media, I think it has a place. I don't hate social media. I love social media. But I think you have to temper it. You have to use it for good. You have to use it to try to bring light to people's lives. You have to want to participate in a positive way. When you leave this planet, the people that are going to be around you are people you affected in a positive way. You can't always be on the negative. If you live a life of just putting people down and you're always on the defensive, that's no way to live. I told you guys before, 2019 for me is going to be all about just blocking people. Okay. You don't have to pay attention. You don't have to follow. You don't even have to watch. You can tune out anytime that you want. For those of you that do, I really appreciate that you're participating, that you're leaving the positive reviews, that you're commenting under the posts and everything else. I'm going to give away some Breakthrough Clean. I'm going to give away some Enforced Lights, and we're going to give away some ears from Sport Ears. I'm going to give away some stuff today. I've given away something every show. I rolled last show's prizes into this show because I'm going to give away the Gargoyles glasses too. I got those right here. I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to give away the Gargoyles. So I'm going to be doing this every show. And I'm going to record a bunch of these in the beginning. Just like I did when I was at Falcor. I'm going to record a bunch of them. I'm going to put a bunch of these shows together. I wanted to find a way to tie in not just Instagram, but Facebook, YouTube, everything. 717, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Somebody want a handgun? We're going to give away another one. So turn on notifications, comment, share, grow this. I'm shooting for about 200 reviews plus on iTunes, and then I'll cool it down on pushing the reviews, guys. But I need your help to get it started. I need all your help. So if you all invite some friends in, tap the hearts, tap the paper airplanes, the more you do that stuff, the helpful it is. The more helpful it is. So, Rich, I'm going to get back. I'm going to get back at some point. I have some stuff going on. I have some irons in the fire with some companies that are spread out. A lot of people wanted me to bring this back, but I have a lot going on with opportunities. I'm talking to a few brands, a few companies, one that's very, very close to Massachusetts. So there's some stuff in the works. It's just going to be a matter of when. New England will always be home. I've been fortunate that I've traveled this country. You can't use iTunes, Blake, but you can go to Podbean. Go to Podbean and download and read a review. I'm going to go to Podbean now and see how that's performing. There's a lot of companies that I'm talking with right now that could lead me in a lot of different directions. So I just don't know how it's going to all shake out. I just don't know. I'll have more info soon. and I'm going to have this website up for this podcast. We're up to 118 downloads on Podbean. I'd like to get about 200 on there. So if you have Podbean, take a minute and head over there and download it. I'd like to get that up to 125 after this episode, somewhere around there. It's another 6 or 8 downloads, so please do me a favor, head over there. Head over to Podbean and search for the show. It looks like the page looks like this. So I'd like to get that up to about 125, guys. So if you take a minute and head over, get the sponsors listed there. Check it out, Blake. Check it out, Union Electric. Appreciate it. Appreciate it if you guys get as many downloads in as you can. It's greatly appreciated. I want to thank Taurus and Riton and Kenzies. I had a ton of companies. That's awesome. Thanks, Rob. I had a ton of companies come to me and say, we want you to reboot it. I was overwhelmed. And I mentioned the story. I had a guy come up to me, and he made a comment. He said, hey John, he went up to Tony. He goes, this is one of the baddest men alive. And then he went up to me and he says, you have one of the most badass podcasts out there, man. He's like, I fucking loved it. And I mentioned it before. He looked me in the eye, and he was so supportive. So supportive. I couldn't thank him enough. It was just one of those, I had a big connection with him moments, and it kind of hit home with me, and I was like, wow, this is something I got to do. This is something I got to bring back. I was kind of overwhelmed by it, to be quite honest with you. It took it to heart. Yeah. So I appreciated it. The more people you invite, the more people you get in, the more people you get to participate, the more helpful it's going to be. So it's really appreciated. It's really appreciated. Can't thank you guys enough. It means a lot. So I'm excited about it and seeing what it's going to be. We won't know what it's going to be until I get a few episodes in. Just took you over to 5-star on iTunes. Keep up the good work. Thanks, team. I appreciate it. Some of these guys like Deem I grew up with. We grew up together. And, I know Deem has probably followed me from the beginning, getting into this game. And people thought I was crazy getting into it. But, I've been fortunate. I've had a great journey in this business. So I'm excited at what the next step's going to be. And having their support and the guys' support. I got a call from, I was talking to Gillespie about, what he's doing in LA, and we were just rapping for a bit, and I'm like, it's crazy where life takes you. It's crazy. So, and the things that happen, but I always wanted to run a company and put my stamp on things, and I had that opportunity. I've had the opportunity to run my own company, and it's been wild in this business, but I said it to somebody, I've had the opportunity. I mean, no one should cry for me. I had the opportunity to meet the president as a result of this business. I've had the opportunity to meet heads of state. I've had the opportunity to kind of really have some of the best relationships I could ever have. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So, I've been really fortunate, and I've been blessed, to, in my opinion, to travel around and do the things I've done. I wouldn't trade it. So it's been excellent. It's been absolutely excellent. So excited to see where it goes. But I want to take a minute and make sure I'm going to check out some of the comments you guys are leaving. We're coming up on an hour and 25 minutes, so I'll take any questions you guys have. Anything else you guys have going on that you want to touch on, go over to my last photo. You leave a comment that you downloaded, whatever, left a comment on Podbean, whatever it is. On this last picture, it's a picture of myself and Tony had a chance to rap with John Burke a little bit at SHOT. John Burke has his own, I believe he has a podcast. I think John has a podcast. I know he has that, he does the Twitch. Is that what it's called? He does Twitch. I know he's doing that. He's doing Twitch. Oh, beautiful, Rob. Thank you. I know John Burke's doing Twitch, and he's doing a lot of the political stuff. I don't get super political. People ask me to. I don't get super political. Twitch is this thing, yeah. I know that. But he does a great job. So, to anyone who has any questions about optics or things like that, how the hell do I leave a review on Podbean? Go in and download it, and then I believe you leave the reviews on the individual episodes. I love this industry. I also met a lot of good people. We all have the same interests at heart, and our freedom and our rights to protect it. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. Semi-auto kid, that's what it's all about. That's typically what people should be striving for. That should be the goal. I don't understand people that have ulterior motives. You know, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It troubles me. It is a two-way family. It is a two-way family. So, if anyone has any questions about any of the sponsors, any of the companies, anything at all, I do my best to answer them as we go. If anyone wants to, you know, shoot the breeze on it, you know, I'm here. I'll do the best I can to answer them. You know, I'm not the best resource in the world for this stuff. I don't think of myself as an expert, but I have been around. So, if you have any questions in this forum, I do my best to answer them. I don't know everything. I want to come out and say that. What's my favorite optic to use? So, I'm a red dot guy. I use a lot of red dots. A lot of the stuff I practice and drill and train on is with close quarters. So, I typically use Vortex, reflex sights, a lot of the reflex stuff. I messed around with a Steiner, and I really have always kind of come back to, and I've used Leupold LCOs. I've always come back to some of the more basic setups, RMRs, reflex sights, things like that. As far as anything, I never really go above a 1x6. That's where I stay. That's my wheelhouse. I've shot on everything, just about everything out there. Swarovski makes great glass. If you're a long-range guy or a hunter, you know, check them out. Trigicon's always been good to me. I've always liked the product. Steiner stepped their game up on the air platform, yes. Always. Let's see. Trying to update the YouTube guys. Try not to neglect the guys on YouTube. Don't neglect the YouTube guys. So, we answered some Patriots questions. We've kind of bounced around a little bit, a few different things. I really hope everybody enjoys this. This is something we're going to keep rolling. I'm going to give away the prize now. So I want to go over it one more time for all you guys. Let me just bring up the YouTube guys. Leave them hanging. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, please do it. If you haven't given me a thumbs up on YouTube, please do it. If you haven't shared the YouTube, please do it. So we're going to give away the Gargoyles glasses. US Optics is great if you can afford them. We're going to give away a pair of Gargoyles. We're going to give away a Breakthrough Clean pistol cleaning kit. I'm going to give away... We'll do a rifle light. 800 lumens. Enforced rifle light. And we're going to give away the sport ears, Axel sport ears, hearing protection. Oh, and Savage Cerakote has gloves and a t-shirt. Let me not forget that. So here's the rules. I'm going to read them one more time, guys. There's 14 of you in here, however many coming and going. I'm going to list the sponsors in a story right now. I'm going to do it right now. So... swag. So we're going to give all this away to one winner. Trying to get this right. I'm leaving in my story. Make sure you comment done underneath, and we'll get this stuff given away. No, we're not going to pick, we won't pick a winner. We won't pick a winner, the same winner. We'll pick a new winner. So we'll do that. We'll pick a new winner. Let me see where we're at. We're at 50 comments. And guys, I know some of you leave like 1 million comments. Try to mix it up. Tag a friend, you know, all the above. And we'll give it away. Try to share the story I just left. Try to share that story I just left. And let me see on Podbean how we're doing. And we'll get this rolling. We're at 119 downloads on Podbean. I wanted to get to 125 before I close the book on it. iTunes takes a little bit longer to update. It's hard to give real-time iTunes updates on how that's performing and how that's doing. But I'll go in and pick a winner, and I ship these myself. Yeah, I'm going to give the rifle light away, Dima. I'm going to do that. I'm going to randomly pick someone. I got a bunch of this stuff. I'll be giving it away. We're at 35 reviews on iTunes, and I'd like to give away... Joe, you're always salty. I would like to give away something every night until I get to about 200 reviews. So I'm hoping tomorrow to wake up and be at about 50 on iTunes. 50 5-star reviews. That's the goal for tonight. So let's see how we're doing. And thank the sponsors, guys. If you thank the sponsors in the last post, it's helpful. If you thank the sponsors, it's helpful. It means a lot. I'll get this stuff. I'll get this stuff given away. Let's see. All right, people are starting to mention it in the stories. I'll give you a minute to share the stories and mention it out there. But I wanted to do this as a way to kind of share things. So we're talking about glass for a second. Yeah, leave the comments on the picture with John Burke in it that you're done, that you did it, and tag the sponsors. So tag the sponsors that you did it. It's helpful. I'm going to let you guys work on this for a split second, and I'm going to just kind of chat about one quick thing. Broc Hooten was on. He brought up a great point about, we talked a lot about jiu-jitsu. I want to let all you guys know that whatever mixed martial art or whatever you practice, it's good to be practicing something. It's good to be participating in something. So don't feel like you have to drop what you're doing if you're doing Krav or you're doing something else to pick up jiu-jitsu. You don't have to. But the point is, just get on the mats and train and take your training seriously. I know people have time constraints. People are limited by what they can and can't do. I get all that. I get it. I understand. For those of you on YouTube, I'm going to kind of try to show the sponsors real quick. I want to thank Riton. If you have a minute, take a minute to look at Riton Optics. Awesome stuff. Really appreciate everything they're doing. Riton. Kenzies Optics. Love their stuff. Check out Kenzies. And check out Taurus USA. Taurus is always a big participant, big helper. Love them for everything that they do, their support. And whatever martial art you're practicing, whatever it is you're participating in, it's a good thing. Keep doing it. Don't feel like you have to drop what you're doing and do. You don't know. I've heard that before, Joe. That one's been brought up. Don't feel like you have to drop what you're doing. And I tell everybody the same thing, whether it's the gym or it's an MMA or it's whatever it is that you're doing. Create a schedule that works for you. If you love working out, keep working out. If you love just lifting weights, just lift weights. But don't be afraid to weave something like this in one day a week. You know, I would regularly do jiu-jitsu 2 times a week. That was my go-to, 2 times a week. I did the Gracie thing for 6 days straight. That was a lot. Took a toll on my body. Rolling and doing all that. But whatever it is you're doing, a couple days a week. Mix in some striking, mix in some other stuff. You know, everybody can spare an hour. If you're training at the gym 4 days a week, toss an hour in of something else. And participate. So thank you to all you guys that are leaving these comments and leaving these reviews. I appreciate it. For the YouTube guys and everybody that watches it on Facebook, take a minute to show you guys the screens and how everything's performing and showed you guys the sponsors. I appreciate it. To everybody who's helping with iTunes, the iTunes is the big one. We try to grow those reviews and try to build that as much as possible. Keep downloading on Podbean, keep leaving the reviews on iTunes, and comment below the post that it's done. I'm going to pick a winner for the contest, and we'll get the DMs rolling. we'll slide into the DM. Let me just update it. It takes a minute to update. And to all you guys, Semi-Auto Kid 717. I know Frank's always, he's got the kid's birthday. What's up, Andrew? Big shout out to Truck Vault. Big shout out to them. I'm gonna do more on the truck. It's been unbearably cold out. I feel like I can never get to that Truck Vault. It's been unbearably cold out. So, let's see. Thank you for thanking the sponsors, guys. It means a lot. I'll pick a winner. A few people mentioned in the story. Thank you to everyone who keeps mentioning it in the story, sharing the story. It means a lot. Thank you. Keep leaving the reviews and keep downloading. Let's see what we got for a winner. Let's see. And the winner is, trying to click, let's see. Well, you entered enough. Semi-Auto Kid. Semi-Auto Kid, you are the winner. So I'm sending the DM now. Then we're going to get that sent out. The winner is... DM sent. So there you go. So make sure you turn on notifications. Maybe on the next one we'll give away a handgun. We'll do something like that. I appreciate everybody. Share the custody of the weapon light. So I'll get all that stuff out. Semi-Auto Kid, give me a couple days. I'll get it sent out. Get you squared away. I appreciate everything. I appreciate all you guys. Please take a minute, have your friends download, have your friends leave the reviews. If you see somebody with an iPhone, grab it, leave a 5-star review. Leave your name in the 5-star review. If you operate under like a different handle, what's up, Silverback Gunworks? What's going on? And I've had a bunch of companies come to me wanting to participate in these giveaways and this stuff, like I always do. Send me a DM. I'll do my best to sort through them right now. I'm just trying to support the main sponsors. But send me a DM if there's something you want to get in. We'll do something. I'm probably going to do something with Tactical Tailor, Grey Ghost, do something with those guys. And we'll do some type of giveaway with an optic on the next one, maybe another handgun. Do me a favor, just send me a DM. And if I get to it, I will get to it. It's just going to take a minute. If you know someone who has an iPhone, grab it, leave a 5-star review, leave your name in it, even if it's a friend, whoever. I'm going to be randomly selecting people to win and to participate, so I appreciate that. Semi-Auto Kid, I sent the DM. Hopefully everybody had a great time having Broc on. Broc Hooten, awesome time sharing his story. If anyone has questions, concerns, or wants to see other sponsors in, tag them. Put them in my post, and I'll get to talking with them. I'm doing my best to get my voice back too. It's been a struggle. It's been a long couple days since SHOT Show. I'm gonna try to go, like I said, live with as many people as I can and as many episodes as I can, and I'm going to try to do it in this format as much as I can. I appreciate all the companies that stepped up to get involved. I had 4 or 5 companies come to me and they wanted to support this. And I want you guys to know I created a very reasonable rate structure and everything else and sponsorship structure for the podcast that wasn't egregious. But I think a lot of companies want to get in this space. You want to participate. So, to the few companies that did, I hope Frank's on for tomorrow, Mark. I think that's a go. So the few companies that did get involved, I'm kind of hand selecting them. There's one other big company. There's actually two big companies. I have to talk to one other company first. If I have a friend in a similar space, I like to offer it to them first. So I'll offer it to, industry friends before I sign someone that's in a similar space. So I had a rifle company come to me. They want in. I'm going to ask one other company first, and we'll see. No. But boom, you can come on sometime. I'm going to try to get Frank on. Frank's been, some of you loyal guys that have been with me since the beginning. Boom, you included. Boom. Some of you loyal guys that have been with me since the beginning. I definitely want to try to have you guys on. But it was awesome having Broc Hooten. Talking about jiu-jitsu, talking about all that stuff. If you guys have a topic, I think with Frank we'll talk a little bit about the industry and about some of that stuff. So any of you guys that have been with me since the beginning, it's awesome to have you guys on and have you guys participate in it and hear your story. So I appreciate it. But we're coming up on an hour and 46 minutes. I want to take a minute, thank everybody, thank the sponsors. I really can't thank you guys enough. Clint, what's going on? Clint, you're one of the guys I got to get with. I know you have a lot of shit going on personally, so I got to get with you and see kind of where your head's at. So let's talk. Let's try to talk tomorrow. I can't thank everybody enough. It's overwhelming. So I appreciate the support, appreciate the help, appreciate everybody participating. And as far as everybody wondering where and what I'll be doing next, I'm sifting through some of the offers. I'm sifting through some of the situations, and it's going to be the right situation, not any, because I know a lot of guys back home are asking me when I'll be back home. Yeah. And congratulations. When I'll be back home and when all that'll sort out. So, and what's going on and where the next steps will be. I don't know if it'll be home. I had a couple companies come to me. It's really interesting. It's getting interesting. So I'll talk to everybody soon. Hopefully I'll be able to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday. Probably not going to do a Friday. Friday's a tough night to do it. And then a lot of people are asking me for a Super Bowl one. So I'll try to do a Super Bowl one, maybe a pre-show. Prior to the Super Bowl, we'll do something. So maybe a quickie prior to the Super Bowl. So hopefully everybody's good. Hope everyone has a great night. And I'll talk to you guys soon. And I'm going to sign off. And I appreciate everybody sharing this and leaving the reviews. It's really greatly appreciated. Thank you. Over and out.